Welcome to Lost Culture, your one-stop destination for everything pop culture. My name's Aston, and today we're going to do a review and a recap for The Power Season 3, Episode 2 is Never Over. So the way we do it is we go from character to character, then we go 3 ups, 3 downs, and who had the power move of the week. So, alright, we're going to jump right into it. The first person we're going to talk about this week is going to be Tasha. So Tasha this week, we don't see much from her, but we see her do a little bit. Like, we see her, when we first see her, she's talking to Keisha. Surprise everybody, Keisha owns a business. I really didn't think Keisha owned a business. I thought Keisha was just one of her, like, ratchet friends that she grew up with. But now that we see Keisha grew up, Keisha has, like, a beauty salon. Like, she does hair out there. So we see that. We see Tasha, she's no longer wearing her ring. She doesn't say if she sold it or not, but she said she didn't need to sell it for money. So as far as that goes, I'm thinking that means she didn't sell it. She still has it. She's just no longer wearing it. So we see that. We see Tasha when she randomly just goes over Angela's house. She goes, it wasn't random, but she went there earlier before the kids showed up just to get like a lay of the land, see how the baby proof went. Basically went just to let her know, like, you may be his girlfriend, but I'm technically still his wife. I'm still the mother of his children. So as long as you're with James, you're still gonna have to deal with me, regardless if he has decided to be with you. I'm in his life by default, and there's really nothing you could do about it. So we've seen that happen, and even though in this scene, it seems like Tasha's the one like that's really in control. She's the dominant one. We don't really see Angela talk too much. When the scene is over, we see basically any power that Tasha has, she basically left at Angela's house or in Angela's apartment. She gets heartbroken when she finds out there's only one room that's Ghost and Angela's room. Like, we see that, like, that mentally does something to her. Her whole personality just changes on the spot when she realizes, oh, that's where Ghost sleeps at now. He no longer sleeps in my room with me, but here with you. So we see that, like, actually mentally affect her a little bit physically. Like, we see her, like, the look on her face change a little bit, but beyond that, we don't really see too much from her. And then later on in the episode, we see her get in touch with Tommy. We see it's a lot easier for her to get in touch with Tommy than it is Ghost. So, like, with that being said, like, we see in the season premiere, we see her randomly just go to Tommy's house, have a conversation with Tommy. We see this episode, Tommy actually comes to meet her at his favorite pancake spot. He doesn't eat, but he meets her at the pancake spot for his money. They have a little exchange of words, and Tasha storms off. Like, in that conversation, she realizes, like, even though, like, Tommy is basically for Ghost. Like, not Tommy is for Ghost, but her whole life and Tommy's whole life has just been around making sure Ghost could achieve all of his goals. And that really, like, gets to Tommy and Tasha that episode. So later on in the episode, well, I'll just say that part for Tommy's area. So then we get to see Holly this episode. Holly, where did I start with Holly? Holly, like, is sad about the dog. We see her going around town. We see her posting up the flyers. Obviously, Tommy hasn't told her about what really happened to the dog. So they leave us wondering if Tommy was actually even going to tell her. So, yeah. She's asking for more responsibility within the organization. She's asking, like, to deposit the money. Tommy doesn't want her to, but, like, she uses sex basically to steal the check so she can cash it. She goes to the bank and realizes she doesn't know his PIN. She doesn't know anything about, like, legal. Like, she sees the money and she tries to deposit it, but she understands how to do a personal account, but she understands how to do a business account. And she doesn't understand where the money goes, how it goes in, what paperwork to fill out, how to fill it out. And it just shows that she gets, like, really stressed out. The bank goes to call Tommy. She stops him, and she goes home and basically confesses to let Tommy know, look, I was trying to be more involved, and this is what happens. So, yeah, she. I'm just glad, because when I first saw her take the check, I personally assumed that she was up to no good. We know she's a klepto, and we know she's used to like stealing money, stealing clothes, stealing items. So I thought she might have actually just been fed up with Tommy keeping things from her, not allowing her to leave the house, and well, obviously she's leaving the house since the dog was killed when she wasn't there. But he wants to keep tabs on her. I thought she maybe just been fed up and she was going to like skip town again. But as we see later on in the episode, she was trying to deposit it to show Tommy, hey, I can do more for this business. I can do more for us. So after that, though, we see she has the idea, and once she talked to Tommy about it, that they need to bring Tasha on the team. They need to bring Tasha into the fold. They need to at least learn how to do things for themselves and not always need an additional person so that they can move money around. They can do things. They can live their legal life as long as they can live their legal life while still doing the drug business. Since Ghost closed down all the laundromats, the only things he left open was the clubs. So at this point, Tommy has no way to wash his money, no way to bring his money in without Ghost. So that's kind of hurtful. And then at the end, we see that when Tommy and Holly are having their conversation, we see Holly actually holds Tommy down. We see her give him that support. We see her actually be the girlfriend that she really should have been this whole time. Instead of like in my personal opinion, it feels like she's been really naggy. She hasn't really been useful. We see when Ghost had Tasha, she was actually useful. She did things for him. She made sure the money was laundered right. She went to the bank to check up on money. She went to the bank to deposit money. She burnt T-shirts when he killed somebody. So we see Tasha always had a bigger role in the business than Holly did, and at least we know why. And now I'm glad to see that Holly is actually taking the steps. She actually wants to learn. Tommy's allowing her to learn. So we have only time to tell and see how this is either going to backfire, or because we all know Holly was really close to snitching last year. So if she actually knows how the business works and she get picked up again and she's in that tight spot and she's actually angry at Tommy, this could actually unfold his whole empire. So we'll find out how that goes. We don't really, I don't even think we've seen Lobos this episode. We heard him names and rambling like in passing. Like we heard like he's not delivering product. Well, he is delivering product, but he's not delivering the whole shipment. He's still only delivering half the shipment. He's still having money problems. He has some type of leverage over Mike. We see when his goon is talking to Mike that he responds to Mike as being a hostage, not like he's not there on his free will. He's not just on payroll. He's actually a hostage. So I would like to see what kind of information they have on Mike that would force him into this business deal. Like we seen last episode, it's like he had a little pull with Lobos when he said after this transaction, or after he gets Lobos off, that he was free. He was no longer working with Lobos. So I want to know what kind of information they have on Mike, what's really going on. So, and it also seemed like Mike is out on his own. Like we're moving over to Mike now after Lobos, we're moving over to Mike, but we see Mike is really out on his own. He goes to Lobos man for help, let him know, hey, one of my people are going after the Jimenez hitter, and we need to stop this. And he lets him know, like, look, you on your own with this. If he catches him, it's your fault. Everything's going to be on you. We have no worries about taking you out or taking anybody else out. So if you want him to stay alive, you want things to work out for you, you better go clean your mess up on your own. And I like that. I actually like that. And I like that we see, oh, even though Mike is dirty, he's dirty because he's being forced to. He didn't willingly go over there, or if he did, at this point, he's basically a hostage. He's there. He's forced to be there, regardless of what he really wants to do. So, only time will tell how Mike's story will really unfold. And we see when Sax lets Mike know that he found the hitter, that Sax called. It looks like Sax calls Lobos man. We see Lobos man pick up the phone when he's talking to Tommy, but we see that happen, and so we see that happen. They never really tell us who it is. It just basically implied that it's Mike. And I don't know if he took care of it, or Mike went in and took care of himself. But by the time Sax get there, it barely. But by the time he gets there, it's already taken care of. So we like this. I like to see that Mike has a little bit of pull, that he can still, even though he doesn't want to be there, he's in deep enough to where he can get people knocked off at the drop of a dime. I actually respect that. Like, I don't want to be here, but as long as I'm here, I'm gonna use my power to make sure everything works out in my favor. So with that being said, we're moving over to Sax. We see Sax he's not really chasing Lobos right now. He knows he's claiming Angela's not really a team player, but really he's not a team player at the same time. They're both, Angela and Sax are both out for their own goals. They're out to make sure, yes, they want to get convictions, but they want to make sure they're in charge of the conviction. They want to make sure they're the star player for the convictions. It's not really about the team. All they really care about is making sure they get the glory. They make sure when the conviction comes down, make sure everybody know I did this. Make sure everybody knows I'm the reason for this happening. So when Sax goes in looking for evidence so he can track down the killer, he finds out, all the evidence got sent back to the separate departments with the killers. And we know last episode, Mike, when he was talking to Lobos, that he sent all the evidence back, and he said it'd take about a year if anybody wanted the evidence for it to come back. So Mike basically did that, and we see that when Sax finds out all the evidence is gone and all the paperwork is messed up, we see, Angela must have did this. Angela's responsible for this. Angela's covering up for James Patrick. So Sax automatically assumes, hey, Angela did this. And once he goes in there and talks to him, he finds out, Angela lets him know, like, I was still suspended. I was not back. I couldn't have sent those paperwork. I wasn't even on a task force at the time when it was sent back. So we see that happen. And I don't know if this is going to lead to people starting to question Mike, because basically we see, the evidence got sent back. When Sax tells Mike about chasing the Jimenez killer, we see, before Sax even gets there, he's already dead. So maybe we'll see Sax start to target Mike more instead of Angela. So like Sax didn't have too much more beyond that. Now we're gonna move over to Angela. So with Angela, we see when Tasha comes over, and Tasha's being her mother bear self, being the protector of her children, making sure everything's safe, making sure everything's baby proof. We see Angela actually thanks Tasha for coming over, checking on the house, making sure everything is right for it. So I like that, and I like that. One more part I did miss about Tasha is that, I'm sorry I'm jumping around, but one part I liked about Tasha this episode, when she's talking to the kids, she's actually like a mother. We see other episodes, she's like a little bit more hardened. This episode, she's a lot softer. She actually talks to her kids. She let them know everything's going to be okay. We love you. Regardless of who your father ends up with, who I end up with, we're still a family. Your father gave me the ability to give life to you guys. I still love him for that, even if we are not in love. I still have love for him due to the fact that he's your father. He helped me raise you guys to this point. He's still in your guys' lives, regardless of if we're together. And she's mature enough to be Ghost to allow him to still see his kids. We seen in season 2 when she was mad at Ghost. He wasn't allowed to see his kids. So we see Tasha's making actually great strides this episode. And I want to see her character still do that. Like I said, I really don't like her character. But now that I see her making moves like this, being more mature, she's actually being a mother. She's actually co-parenting with Ghost. I'm actually starting to like her more. So I like that. I'm gonna get back to Angela now. And we see Angela's talking to the kids. The kids, not really the kids as much as Tariq. Tariq, he really, I don't know. He's really just being an ass just for sake of being one. He's angry at the world. I understand Sean died. He still doesn't really understand why Sean died. He really don't understand why his parents aren't together. And now, it seems like it's only been a week. So last week, he was just finding out Sean died. And now this week, he's finding out, oh, I kind of have a new stepmom that I really don't know. So, and we see he's still struggling with the Sean incident and the new lifestyle. We see Raina mentions, oh, she only has 4 plates. Even though that's enough for the family. And they're just used to a higher lifestyle than they are when they're living with Tasha. We see when she tries to play the video games with Tariq, she bought him his favorite game. He doesn't even say thank you. He doesn't even seem excited. He just says, oh, well, my TV is bigger at home. I have a big screen at home to play on. So he doesn't seem really grateful for the gift that she's giving him. He doesn't seem like, oh, he doesn't seem open yet. I don't know what's going to happen later on where he's going to open up to her. But we see he's really not open to Angela yet. Even though Raina is, you see Raina's, she's taking Angela, telling her how to pick the baby up, how to put the baby back to sleep. And I really like that. I really like how the daughter is opening up more than Tariq is. Also, we see Tariq goes into the room. He's looking around. We see him looking at Ghost's jacket. Obviously, he's angry at his father for like the whole situation, but he still admires his father. We see him looking at his jackets. He pulls the gray one out like he wants to put it on like he wants to be like his father when he grows up. But he just conflicted at the moment with the whole situation that's going on. So we see him go in Angela's bag. And when he goes in Angela's bag, he really doesn't look through it. As soon as he opens it, the first thing he sees is the gun. We don't know if he put the gun back, but we don't know if he took the gun. But we know when he seen the gun, he actually took it out of the bag. He held it, and he made like his little gangster face. So he made like his face like, oh, I'm going to be protected. I'm not. What happened to Sean is going to happen to me. That's kind of like the impression I got when I seen him. Like, he's ready to start taking his first steps into the streets now. He's getting of that age. I think he's around 14, 15. I think last season he was in 7th or 8th grade. So he's around between 13 and 14. So I would like to see how that's really going to turn out. Now that we're done with the kids, let's move over to Dre. So Dre is actually one of my favorite characters this season. We see Dre is still struggling with leaving the streets and going legit. We see he still wants to be in the streets. He wants I feel like he's getting a little bit more used to being legal. We see him go back to his old rib shack. We see when his friends are talking to him about, oh, old boy from the South just got randomly killed for no reason. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and they put him down. And it really don't really affect him too. It affects him a little bit. Maybe he's thinking Kanan did it. Because in the next line, he's like, oh, we haven't seen your boy Kanan around. And instead of him telling the guys, oh, Kanan is dead, or, I don't work with Kanan no more. He was like, yeah, you never know when Kanan come back around. So not telling them that, oh, yeah, that's not how I work no more. I wonder how they feel if they're not moving drugs anymore. They don't really say anything about that. They just let them know, like, oh, dang, we ain't seen you around the spot in a while. So I'd love to know how that turned out. But they don't really mention it. They just seem cool that Dre doesn't come around no more. They actually seem happy that he's moving into the club business. Even though they ask him to be like, hey, let's do a lick on the clubs that you're working for. That's like my biggest issue. I hate when when people make out when people make out the ghetto and we see somebody doing good and your other friends are like, oh, now we have a chance to get a lick now that you had this good job. Let's ruin your job and all of us go to jail. Instead of one of us make it, maybe in the future you can get them a job in the club also. But no, they'd rather rob it rather than maybe one day get a job working for him or with him. So, what else do we see with Dre? We see Dre actually brings up the fact that sorry about that. Dre actually brings up the fact that, oh, I know what that card means. I seen that card when I was in jail. The Puerto Rican boy got the card, the Puerto Rican boy got put down. That's a little while later. So he knows what the card means. He knows that Ghost is in trouble. And if Ghost is in trouble, he's in trouble. He's also upset that Ghost isn't really coming to him for the street end of the business. He knows Ghost wants him out of the business. He knows Ghost wants to be out of the business. But yet, he's upset that Ghost isn't allowing him to be in the streets anymore. So, only like I said, only time will tell how this is going to. I see it turning out well, but we know at some point he's going to have a run-in with Kanan. And we don't know how that's going to turn out. Either Dre is going to die or Dre is going to flip sides. We know Kanan is all about the streets. He's with the shits. And that's where Dre wants to be at. He wants to look legit, but he wants to be in these streets. And Dre's obviously going to do whatever it takes to survive. But, so, yeah, I'm actually looking forward when he runs into Kanan. I'm just thinking about that right now, like what that scene is going to be like. We know it's going to be in the alleyway, but I want to see that's the first time or it's going to be a time before that. And then with Dre, we see he messed up the paperwork. It was partially his fault, a little bit not his fault. We see he gets upset when the DJ is tapping on him, which was very disrespectful, by the way. Like, very disrespectful. I understand why he got upset. We all know that Dre isn't really into the corporate side yet. Dre is still fresh off the streets. He's only been off the streets like a week or two. And James Ghost isn't really mentoring them. Like, he's giving them jobs. He's telling them what to do. But he's not really grooming them into the business. He's leaving Dre, like, basically to figure things out on his own, which he shouldn't be doing. Since he brought Dre into the business, he should be there with him step by step, grooming him, showing him the way. The same way he did with Rolla with the drug side, he should be doing with Dre for the business side. We seen Rolla was coming up. He was teaching Rolla how to work the ins and outs of the drug business, but we don't really see him doing the same way, teaching Dre the same way he taught Rolla, which I really don't like. I think they need to do a better job of that. They need to show James actually mentoring Dre instead of just telling them, get this done, get that done. Don't be in the streets. I want you to have a gun, but I don't want you to be in the streets. And even that aspect, Andre questions him on, like, yeah, you tell me to get out the streets, you tell me to do this, you tell me to do this, but at the same time, you want me to have a gun. So, like, I feel legit, but I feel like you still want me in the streets halfway. So, like I said, it's gonna be only time for time. Probably be next episode when we really see if he's still street or if he's going corporate. But we'll find out next episode. And we didn't see Greg this week. Like I said, we didn't see Kanan this week. So now we're gonna move over to Julio. Julio, he's still working with Tommy. We see he's starting to realize Tommy's getting more and more unstable without Ghost being there. We see he's asking questions about, oh, we're only getting half product. This isn't like good for our business. It isn't good for our reps. All our all our people are gonna start getting upset if we can't feed them. We only getting them half the deliveries. Their customers getting mad. They're losing ground. They're losing money, and we're not keeping up our side of the bargain, which isn't good for business. We see Tommy just tell him, "Hey, play it cool, and everything's gonna be okay. We'll figure everything out when Lobos get back on his feet." So hopefully that comes soon. And then now we're gonna move over to Tommy. So, well, we'll wait on Tommy. We'll move over to Ghost. So this episode, we see Ghost having trouble sleeping. We see he calls Tommy a couple times. He never really gets an answer back from Tommy. So he calls Tasha and sends Tasha over here to talk to Tommy. And I feel like Ghost is slipping back into Tasha's arms. I hope he doesn't. I really didn't like the Tasha Ghost relationship. I really didn't like Tasha mainly. That's why I didn't like the Tasha Ghost relationship. And which is pretty surprising that we see he actually went to her for help. And I'm glad he actually went to her and asked her permission for the kids. Because we know last episode when he mentioned introducing the kids to Angela, Tasha had a problem with it. And we see within a week, we see Tasha got over it basically and let him have his way. So I'm glad he's doing that. I'm glad he's still being a father to his kids. We see he's doing everything to make sure the kids don't go without, that they're still living at home with their mother, who seemingly is still living the same lifestyle. Her lifestyle hasn't changed at all, regardless of his circumstances. He's making sure the kids still live how they used to live before they were separated, so they don't see any difference in their lifestyle. But you see, when he comes over to Angela's house, it doesn't really live up to par. So the kids are like having problems adjusting to that. But he just let the kids know he loves them. We see he plays games with Tariq. We see he's holding his daughter, the baby, a lot. He's playing with her. We see him talk to Raina. He gives Raina her props for setting up the table and everything. And I really like that he's trying his best to make sure everything is working out right. So I like that. And with that being said, Ghost really didn't have too much. We see him talk to Proctor. Like Proctor warned Ghost, like, just let it go. Like, let Lobos go. If he's not targeting you right now, don't prod him so he comes towards you. But then later on in the episode, Proctor let him know, like, hey, if Lobos is alive, you're going to have to kill him. And I really can't get you too much information, but your best bet is to go through Angela and use Angela in your best way to get to Lobos. And even though that might be costing Angela her job, in the long run, it's going to be saving her life. So he has to decide, like, hey, am I going to help me and Angela survive, or I'm going to do what Angela wants so she can keep her job, which in turn she might end up losing her life. So that's a decision that Ghost is going to have to make. Obviously, he's going to choose to kill Lobos, but the way he goes about it, well, only time will tell. Now, basically, this episode was all about Tommy. It was Tommy, Liz, Tommy, that. Let's get into Tommy. We see Tommy's getting a lot more unstable. We see Tommy doing a lot more coke. Tommy is in his feelings. Tommy's feel lied to by Tasha. When you see him talking to Tasha, he brings up, oh, it's been 10 years and you never told me about how you and Ghost set up Kanan. Oh, like you're not really part of this family. Even though Tommy's been lying to Tasha also, he only feels like, oh, like I feel betrayed by what you've done to me. We see he didn't tell Holly about initially he didn't tell Holly about the dog. He was just gonna let Holly go on thinking, hey, the dog got away. They're out posting up flyers. He's telling her, oh, I can get you another dog if you want another dog. But, whew, Tommy, that was a pretty messed up move, I feel. Like, he really should wonder about what's really going on because her life is in danger. That's how I feel about it. And we see he tells Holly, don't get involved with the business. You don't really know what you're doing. I already don't know what I'm doing, so I really can't teach you what to do. So he gets really pissed at Holly when he finds out that she took the check and tried to cash it. She's asking him questions of like, I want to do more. If you just show me what to do, I can do this for you. And he just honestly tells her, I really don't know what to do. And that's when like it just clicks to Holly like, oh, Ghost really ran everything. Ghost and Tasha were really the masterminds behind his business. He was really just the muscle. He runs off of emotion. He just does what Tommy does. And we see his like we knew he was on coke last season. We only see him do coke like when he's mad at Ghost, when Holly breaks up to him. But this time, well, he's mad at Ghost again. But he's in a car hitting coke. We see him in the warehouse doing mad lines of coke. One of the guys make a joke about it, and Tommy just goes berserk. Tommy just hits him. He like stomps him out. He just goes crazy. Like, don't question me. Don't bring up any of my flaws. And he tells Julio like, you're lucky it was him because it's supposed to be you. So basically, taking out the anger from Julio and putting it out on this guy, taking out all his frustrations from him not being able to supply his drug line and things of that nature. He takes it all out on this one guy and lets Julio know, like, look, next time you say something, it's going to be you. And which I don't really agree because Tommy doesn't have anybody else. Tommy obviously couldn't run the business by himself. He has Julio, who manages all of his street level people, and he's threatening him. And I feel like if Tommy loses Julio, the whole business falls apart. And Tommy doesn't really realize that. Tommy just thinks he can run things off of straight fear, which I don't think is really going to work for too much longer, especially with him being off the coke the way he is right now. It might have been just because he was in his feelings that he was so heavy on coke, but I don't know, because he even had like the jaw was starting to twitch, like that little cocaine, like when coke hits, they do too much joke. We see like the jaw started getting real loose, they start bouncing around. So we see him chewing on that invisible sandwich. So I don't know if he's just like a casual coke user, but it seems like it's getting real heavy that his jaw is starting to do that, or he's been doing it for a while. And the big thing about this episode is where we see Tommy has the chance to kill Ghost. He has the kill shot. He's sitting behind a Ghost. I don't know if Ghost was expecting it or not, but hey, Ghost didn't try to defend himself or anything. And he kept his back towards the way he knew Tommy would be coming from. And Tommy just sat there for a while with the gun. We see him like struggling to pull the trigger. Overall, he ended up deciding not to shoot. But I called that last week. I said Tommy would get the chance to shoot Ghost. Tommy would be like at the verge of doing it, and then his emotions, his feelings towards Ghost would stop him because it's been 20 plus years. They're basically brothers. Tommy said like, this is my brother. He's my only family. My mom's coked out. She lives downtown. We don't really get along. Through all my struggles in life, I always had Ghost. And now, at this point in time, my biggest struggle is me choosing between my life or Ghost's life. And he can't really decide about that because, like, in his mind, his life and Ghost's life are linked. They're one life. So I like to see like the more, not more emotional side, but I like to see that he's actually thinking like this, like, oh, he is my brother, he is my family. And I really like to see that coming out of Tommy. We get to see a little bit more development on his side. And I like that he didn't, like, even though he was like on the verge of going crazy, like we see Holly holding him down. They're talking about, oh, I can't do this. and he confesses to her. He actually tells her the truth about, oh, the dog got killed because Lobos wants me to kill Ghost so that me and you can live. He told me he would kill the dog, and I didn't do what he wanted to do in time. So now that the dog is dead, you're next in line. It's the dog, you, then me. And Holly just, I understand. She holds him down like she's supposed to. Don't know, like, don't worry about that. It's not going to happen because you're going to kill Ghost before before he comes for me. I like to see that, but what I didn't like is just that Tommy was so ignorant that he doesn't know any of the business. They've been doing this for over 20 years now, and he doesn't understand any of the business. He doesn't understand what he needs to do or how to do it. I like that he has like a code of ethics, like he won't step on the coke. You don't know what stepping on the coke basically it is. Basically, like he's breaking it down. It's not as pure as it once was. Right now, they're getting it pretty pure, and he wants to. Julio wants to add baking soda to it, basically, so they can expand it and make more coke out of it. It won't be as pure, but they'll have more product to sell. So I'm glad Tommy has a code of ethics where he won't allow himself to do that. Like, hey, I'm here. They want quality, and we have quality over here. We're going to give them quality. That's your. In the long run, the quality of my product should be able to hold us together until we actually get the amount of product we need to sustain the whole network. So I like that Tommy does have a code of ethics, basically, when it comes to drugs. And there's not really too much more on characters. Like I said, we didn't see Kane in this episode. We didn't see Greg at all. In the next week's trailer, we see Kanan. We see Kanan's all burnt up. We see he got stitches. We see the staples in his back. So when that fight that him and Ghost had, it does a lot of damage. So I feel like my prediction for next episode is the first person that Kanan's going to be looking out for is Dre. He's coming for Dre. He knows Dre's most likely went over to Ghost's network. So he's trying to get the ins and out. He's going to use Dre to get information on Ghost and Tommy. Obviously, he knows Tommy's not with him since Tommy didn't show up to the side. Tommy was just going to be with whoever came out. So he might not know that Tommy and Ghost are not back together. But he probably knows that, Tommy's putting his network back together. He's rebuilding from the ground up. So he probably knows about that. And he's going to be probably be hitting up like he did the network in the first two seasons. But the first season, how he took down people, I feel like he's going to be doing that again. He's going to come out, he comes back, he's going to be knocking down Tommy's network until Tommy come looking for him. So, my ups for this episode. We see developments for like Tasha. We see her starting to expand past just like the petty housewife who wants her husband to sell drugs. All she cares about is money. I like that we see that. I like that we get to see Tommy is actually recognizing his weaknesses, noticing that, I can't do the business side, the legit business side of the drug dealing, the laundering the money at all, which is legit, but laundering money. He understands that I can't do this, so I'm gonna, even though he's forced to do it, he agrees to do it. I need to bring in additional people so that we can get the business working again. My dislike is, I don't like how they have Tommy being so reckless. Yes, Tommy's an up and a down. I don't like how Tommy is being so reckless. Tommy's getting worse and worse in this episode. And my next down is the communication between Ghost and Angela just isn't there. She still doesn't trust him. If she doesn't trust him, like, she really shouldn't be with him. Which is probably going to play on to in the future. I don't feel like at the moment, like they're working for it, but I don't see it actually lasting too long. I think their relationship isn't really going to last past this season. I feel like they're going to turn into not really Ghost. Ghost is basically going to be the Tasha of this new relationship. He's going to want Angela to keep doing corrupt things, and Angela's going to feel like Ghost doesn't want me to achieve what I can possibly achieve. So I feel like those dynamics are going to change. This time we're going to see Angela's the one who has the ambition to be more, to be bigger, while Ghost is asking her to remain the same. So that's one like thing that I've noticed about this season, that those power roles in the relationship between Angela and Ghost. And my power move of the week would go to the club owners, the opposing club owners. We don't really get their names. I think we did get their names. They're just I can't think of them right now at the moment. So I like they would be the power move of the week when they took the DJ under away from Ghost when Dre didn't get the contract signed on time. So that'd be my power move of the week. And that's all we have today. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name's Aston. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Leave us a like if you like what you heard. Leave any comments if you had anything I missed. If you had a different opinion than me, if you want me to cover something else more in depth, let me know. And like I said, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram at lost_culture. And to follow me on Instagram at Saint_Aston. Thank you for tuning in and stay lost, folks.